I don't dance. I headbang.
I have with me today Tuomas Saukkonen, the leader of the pack, the mastermind behind Wolfheart. Thank you for being with us once again, Tuomas. Thank you for being in Metalradio.
It's my pleasure once again.
The reason we are talking today is the new album of Wolfheart, Draconian Darkness. It's coming out on September 6th on Rain in Phoenix Records. I'm going to start from something I read in your press release. It says that Wolfheart's music is deep, dark, beautiful, with melodies, powerful, and raw energy. Would you say that best describes Wolfheart's music?
I think it fits really, really well. I didn't come up with that. That came from the label, but clearly they are professionals of their trade, so yeah.
Okay. So if I had to ask you to give me the characteristics that define Wolfheart's music, what would you say they are?
Characteristics. I think the main character is the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of melodies and like just raw death metal style with the acoustic passages, with the strings, with the clean vocals back to growling vocals. I think the balancing with the contrast is our like
your
not the essence,
sound.
There's many ingredients, but I think that's what I'm starting to get more and more feedback from the media and the reporters and the fans also. So I guess I never do it intentionally when I write, but yeah, I guess it's the contrast between the darker and the lighter material.
Mm-hmm. So Draconian Darkness comes out right after an exquisite album, King of the North. Was it stressful to top that? And did you know that you were going to switch labels, so it was extra stressful?
We were hoping to switch labels. So having the new label kind of like it took a lot of the stress away.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to have the album out with the new label. And yeah, I guess if I would ever felt actual pressure of topping the previous album while I'm writing the new one, which means that because for the writer itself, I live in a different cycle than the listeners. I wrote this album like almost a year ago,
mm-hmm.
Which means I wrote King of the North almost 3 years ago. So to me, each album is basically 1 year older than to any like listeners. So if those songs would still feel to me that I wouldn't be able to top them, I shouldn't write any more music. Anyway,
mm-hmm.
I do understand this certain pressure that you need to get like equal quality, and making a full album is always a huge task, and making sure that every minute on the album is not good enough, but like is on the top quality level and serves not just the writer itself, but also the album that is like a very like one piece of art. But there was no pressure from previous album or any of the previous albums.
Well, I have listened to the new album, but the people watching us haven't yet. They have just tasted the 2 videos, Evenfall and Grave, which, by the way, have had fantastic receptance and views on YouTube. I think as we speak, Evenfall is 4 days out, and it's already topping the views. How would you describe the music in the new album?
Well, I wouldn't let those 2 songs to describe the whole album.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I mean, maybe that was the most stressful part of making this album, was deciding the single songs, because usually there's 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 super clear ones, and then you decide based on those. But now label management, everybody in the band and in the close circles, everybody had their different favorites. So none of the songs, not even 3 songs out of the whole album wouldn't describe the album. That's diverse it became.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be horrible if we would only have 1 single from the album. That would be, that wouldn't make musically any sense to, like, yeah, that wouldn't work out at all. Yeah, there was even 1 song that I honestly thought that wouldn't fit, but I was the only one thinking that way. So it was more diverse than I would have originally felt comfortable with.
Okay. So how did you come down to these 2 for becoming the first videos? How did you decide on them?
Well, Grey was the first song I wrote for the album. So I usually want to have, I have, yeah, completely wrong reasons, but that means that I have certain attachment for the song, because the first song that I write, that always starts the whole writing process, and the rest of the album just kind of like follows. It's like it's taking the thing out of the boat and then it just slowly sinks on its own. That's what the first song usually and always is. So I get attached to the first song a little bit differently. So I usually want that to be the first single. So, which is really hard to explain to a label who thinks about the algorithms and sales and stuff like that. And yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about the new label. How did this come to, and how does it feel so far?
Well, we are still very in the beginning. Things have been going really well. They do a really good job with the promotion, with the videos, with everything. And we started looking for the label already last September, October.
Mm-hmm.
And there was various options, but and I was told that there's a new label coming up and they would be very interested of signing us. But before like January, I didn't know anything about like this new label until they actually came out with Sebastian Bach, Kerry King. Then they announced that they have the whole main roster of Atomic Fire. They have Meshuggah, Amorphis, Opeth, bands like that. So that is quite a rare thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like last time similar thing happened was when Atomic Fire was when they came to the market. But this is bigger step. So anything like this hasn't happened for like 15 years. So it's, of course, we saw the opportunity also. Probably there won't be any new bigger labels coming up in the future of music business. It's very surprising that these kind of moves are still being made. Usually it's more like the smaller labels are dying and the bigger ones that exist are just grabbing the bands that are available. But yeah, we definitely wanted to be on that boat, and super happy so far.
I'll get back to the album and ask you about the lyrics and the topics you have on this album. Is Draconian a reference to Paradise Lost? No.
No.
Tell me about the lyrics.
It is a theme album, but a little bit different way than the previous 2. Like it's connected more to King of the North, actually, because it's like the flip side of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's also in the cover art and everything. King of the North was about that era in humankind that we respected nature. We had a good balance. With the nature, we grew and harvested what we needed. We killed what we needed to survive. But we understood our part in the nature's hierarchy. We worship bears or wolves or whatever was the apex predator of that part of the world. We prayed for rain. We prayed for sun. We respected right things. But this modern version of us, and this has been going on for a long time. This is not like this album is not any kind of like political statement of this time or this moments.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the modern man is just killing and burning everything. That is the contribution of the human race at the moment for the whole world, and that is the Draconian Darkness. That's what we are bringing with us. That's what follows in our footsteps, and it's a lot of the inspiration comes from just checking out the weekly news. Like it's no shortage, but at the same time, some of the songs are about the post-apocalyptic future or historical wars or something. Like each song has a different point of view for the matter. So the album is not about today or yesterday or tomorrow. It's just general
how things are going over the past
century. Yeah. And maybe, who knows, 5 years, 50 years, 500 years, but it is escalating. So sadly, I think even we might see some of the results.
Yeah, it is sad. It is darkness, as you call it. Musically, you have used many symphonic elements, and you seem to have used harmonies on the vocals with you and Lori, like choirs, and it creates an atmosphere that's kind of grim and gloomy. Can you say a few things about that? I mean, especially in my favorite song, The Gale, you have completely bared the voice of Lori, and it sounds so fragile, and then you come in and chaos comes in. I love that contradiction. Tell us a few things about how you used these elements.
Well, both, like, I think in general, everybody did their best on this album when it comes to vocals. Lauri has improved a lot. He has always been a great singer, but it's always a different thing to be part of a big chorus when you have the orchestras, you have the guitars and the bass drums and everything. Mm-hmm. But when you are there alone with just acoustic guitar, that kind of like that gives you no room for any not mistakes, but it's like the whole you is exposed, like the color of your sound and your articulation and all the small nuances. So that takes a lot from a singer to be able to pull that off. And same with Vangelis. He's even doing some growling parts on this album. So everybody was expanding. I like that that was noticeable, that you heard that also, and I hope a lot of other people hear, because you can change the guitar, you can add more guitar tracks, you can do more orchestration, you can do faster songs, and you can say that we evolved, we did something differently. But when the upgrade, so to speak, comes from such a personal thing than your voice, I think that's something worth of actually working a lot for. And we did a lot of work with the vocals, and I'm super happy that it came out so well, because it's not always it's like this motivational, like this phrase in Finnish language. I haven't seen it in English, but it translates like people actually have that as like in frames on a wall. Mm-hmm. Like you can try your best at anything and still be really shitty. So it's not like like even if you work hard for it, it doesn't mean that you get it. So that's why it's really pleasant that we were able to do this upgrade, and everybody actually were bringing their best version as a vocalist, because again, it's more personal thing to do that with your vocals and be more exposed with your vocals than with any instruments. You can just, a monkey can learn to play drums. I'm sure that you can teach a monkey to play drums, but not to sing. So
well, what's impressive about you guys is that you're one of the few bands, in my opinion, who can sound equally massive when you're live. It's a rare thing nowadays with all production, I don't know, plugins and so on and so forth. Productions are massive, but the band also presents a massive stage appearance. I mean, you sound as massive as you sound on your records. How do you achieve that? How do you practice it? I don't know.
Now, it is something you can't really practice. Something that a lot of bands should take in consideration when they're doing the arrangements for the songs. Like you need to decide when you are composing music that are you okay that this doesn't translate live at all as it is, because there's just too much data that you are thinking for the album, or do you think about that when you are arranging the songs, that these songs have to work equally live?
I see.
Because all the good guitar, bass, and drum arrangements are done in a way that, of course, they can be done like exactly like this is done on the album. On this album there's only 2 tracks of rhythm guitars, just left and right. So I think it would be quite a weak from our side if we wouldn't sound like the album. And what we do have the backing tracks with the orchestrals, like I think all the bands that are using those elements anyway. But
you can't have an orchestra with you.
No.
All the time. Not all the time.
Even if we would have money, that would make too much people around us. As a Finnish band, we wouldn't be able to handle that amount of company and that amount of people that we need to say hi and good morning and stuff like that. So that's the main reason. But yeah, it's I think we also toured enough that we've learned how to create the balance and the sound from the stage that any sound guy can actually get it done. And we've been doing that quite a lot. I think it's quite rare nowadays, but last summer, most of the festivals we did without our own sound guy. We just went there and let the festival sound guy do it. When we played in Athens, there was a guy who never worked us before. When we played the previous time, there was another guy who never did our sound before. Okay. I think it's like there's certain responsibility for the band that you need to have naturally enough skills to be able to play the stuff in a way that it sounds good, but also need to understand that you are the source of the sound. There's no sound guy who has this console that has this big button that when you press that, it makes everything better. That's not just how it goes. And if your sound is coming from the band itself, then the sound guy only needs to open up the PA and just see that everything is volume-wise is balanced. I think that is something I know a lot of bands that they would be completely fucked if their sound guy wouldn't be there, or if their sound console wouldn't be there. But we do think about a lot of that when we do the albums already, because we know we're going to do a tours. We're probably going to play 100 times of these songs. We just recorded and are about to release. So of course we have to
Alexi, who has been your sound guy, has told me once a very wise thing about sound guys and bands.
I'm very interested of hearing this.
He said that a good sound guy can only show a good band. If you have a good sound guy and the band sucks, it only brings out their flaws.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's all about the band.
Yeah, that is well said from Alex. Yeah, he's done a lot of our shows. Yeah, but yeah, it's I think a lot of bands. It goes same with the studio work. A lot of bands seem to. I'm not talking about professional bands, but upcoming bands. They kind of seem to have this weird idea that there's either is it the sound engineer in the studio or live, that it's somehow his job is improve everything you do. It's not about that. It
doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So and of course they leave things a little bit in the halfway. Don't understand how much is required from the band itself, and then you get really shitty sounding bands and albums.
Tuomas, I wanted to tell you something that I've realized watching you guys last time you were in Greece. I realized that you have overcome the soreness of COVID-19 and you have bonded excellently on stage. I mean, it's like the guys in football. I don't follow football, but this is the best analogy I can give. It's almost like you blindly find each other on stage. It's a brilliant way of working in a band. The communication on stage is, I mean, beyond. And I wanted to tell you that I feel that you're one of the most generous people I've come across in the music scene, as you give space to your bandmates. You're a frontman, and frontmen usually are more egoistic, let's say. But but you share your glow. I mean, you have no problem taking a step back and letting the other members of the band glow.
Yep. Again, then when I'm not doing the vocals, it's not my glow anymore. When I'm not doing the guitar solo, which there's a good reason I don't do any solos, it's not my glow anymore. Like, I know exactly what you mean. I did once a backliner work for Yngwie Malmsteen.
Mhm.
He's the best on that. But there's no in his performance.
You're talking about the king.
Yeah. In his performance, there's no other glow. But
Yeah.
but it's like I never understood it in a way that it would like undermine my role as the leader, or I would need to underline my role that people understand. Like, some people are there because of the drummer, some people are there for Vangelis and his biceps, some people are there for loudest vocals. That's not in my control. That would be my worry, that how people see me on the stage. Then I'm focusing on the wrong things anyway. Like, I'm sure I will get the glow that I deserve. I don't think I would get anything more, even though if I would try to diminish others, it would just make me look egoistic. I don't think that works at all. Like, people are, even though people are usually drunk and they are in the audience just to enjoy themselves and be entertained, they are not stupid. So they see what's going on there. And if your ego drives, ego has a bigger drive than you as a musician, then it's I think it's your inner issue to solve.
You're losing the point.
That would also that would mean that there would be this constant power balance battle, not maybe on the stage, but at least in your head. Like, that would be would be horribly stupid and horrible at the same time. On the stage, feel jealous because one of your best friend is getting attention on the show where you play together. That just doesn't compete. It shouldn't be seen as generous. That should be normal. But I've seen what you mean by that. So I know that type of people. I would never be able to work with those kind of egocentric.
Having talked to you for a few times, I am sure you couldn't. Tell me, what's your favorite song in the album and why?
That is tricky. That is equally tricky than picking up the single songs. I just went 4 songs through in my head, and well, maybe Trial by Fire.
Okay.
But that's for the personal reasons. That was quite a big challenge for me, for my vocals, because my boundaries as vocalist are pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that interested of learning that many new tricks, because I like what I do, but that song required something a little bit different, and that has been a challenge in the past, and we haven't really been able to get that lower, really like American death metal kind of growling out from me. So it turned out super well, and that made me really happy So that's why and that's the only music video song that I haven't started editing yet, because that is a favorite song killer. You have a song that you like, then you do a music video, you hear the song 200 times in 2 weeks, and then you're done. Then it's not
that was
song
what
anymore.
Vangelis was telling me also about Full House Brew Crew.
Yeah, but he
listened to it so many times, you hate it.
Yeah, but he only participates in their videos. He doesn't edit them. So that, like, when you shoot the video, you do the song like 20 times, but then when you do the editing, you do it like 120 times more. So yeah, but I guess that because at least I need to take a break. I haven't listened to the album now for at least a month, because I'm constantly working on now we have 2 videos out. I'm editing the 3rd one. I got the 5th one done. I have the 4th one almost ready, but I need some extra footage, and then there will be a 6th video. So I'm in a way listening to the album.
You're releasing 6 videos. Okay. Can you give me a time frame for that?
Somewhere mid of August comes the 3rd one. 4th one comes out when the album comes out on the release day. Then the 5th one comes out, I guess, in October.
Mm-hmm.
After the Finnish tour, but before the European tour. And 6th one probably in January, when we should be starting the US tour. So that's the...
Okay. So that kind of gives us the dates when you will be circling around Greece again, maybe?
That I have no idea yet, because we are now trying to lock down the North America first. But it didn't help when they announced the news about the US visas suddenly being 250% higher. So that is now like quite a big variable. We were hoping to do South America connected with the North America, but now it used to be like $450 per member. Now it's $1,600. So that's quite a big leap, and that is causing some problems at the moment. So first we are focusing to solve that, because if we don't have a North American tour announced roughly around when the album comes out, that's going to have a huge effect how much the retailers and distributors are going to spread the album, because so we have it's
kind of a domino effect.
Yeah. So that's Greece is easier than North America. So we know that we don't need to put that much effort right now. I'm pretty sure Athens is not going to disappear from the map, but then again, North America might disappear from the planning board. So that's the main thing for the beginning of next year anyway. So
I see. Do you like playing in Greece?
Yeah.
Are we your favorite crowd or something?
Not favorite. I wouldn't say what the favorite is, because it depends on the day so much. But we do love to play in Greece and Athens, of course, but I would like to do a little bit more extensive tour. We haven't played in Thessaloniki for like 6 years, I think. And but yeah, one of our favorites.
Okay, fair enough. I can go with that. I think I'm all answered as to what I could ask about the new album. In my opinion, King of the North was a peak for you guys. So I think that now it feels like as if you're climbing up a higher peak. Does this feel...
That's good. That's what we try to do with every album, but yeah.
Yeah. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Any last words you'd like to say to the Greek fans? Or around the world? We're talking in English in any way.
Well, Greek fans, we will see you soon anyway. Don't mind about us being a little bit off focus now with the North America. It's a thing that we will solve quickly, and then we will look into because part of the band is already there, so it makes all the sense just to follow Vangelis and play a few shows.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tuomas. I wish you all the best. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. I really, really like the new album, and I hope you can come to us the sooner the better.
That's good. Sooner the better. We'll see you soon. Bye.